we want to make sure that all the fields will match what the server is expecting, right? We've created a Python data class so we can convert that Python data class to a dictionary, a Python dictionary, and make that a JSON and send that to a third-party API to make a payment. So this M-Pesa payment you are seeing right here, this is the future payload that we need to save. But we're not gonna save that as a JSON object, we're gonna save that as a hexadecimal encoding string. So it can be easier to be retrieved from the database, update that with new value, and send that to make a payment. Okay, so it's gonna be a JSON payload, but we need to encode that. Let's import the BLAKE2 from the lib. Import from, you can just import lib. And from right here, we are going to create a BLAKE2 instance. BLAKE2 lib BLAKE2. We can either use the BLAKE2 S or BLAKE2 B. It looks like the B is faster than the BLAKE2 S. I can't remember, but we're gonna use the BLAKE2 B, which is faster. The digest size will be 64 bytes. We have to use the key. I think the key I'm gonna use here, the key will be the public. Let's just use the key, you know, so it can be consistent. We're just gonna use the key from the clients, right? Get environment. We're gonna use the M-Pesa key as the key to, okay, we create our object. Actually, the key has to be a byte. The key should not be a string. To do that, we are going to do b bytes times plus. We encode this one to UTF. We're creating a key that will allow us to encrypt our JSON payload. The next one we need to do, I think we are going to hash it. We update our hash by passing the JSON payload, but the JSON payload right here, as of now, this JSON payload is a string. We need to convert that to a byte string. To convert that to a byte string, we are going to create a byte string, and we concatenate a byte string to a byte string. JSON payload encode UTF-8. This converts the string to a byte string, and the byte string plus byte string equal byte string. Okay, next thing we need to do after we update, we need to create a digest. We're going to create a hexadecimal digest. Hash hexadecimal digest. And this is gonna be a string. We can call it encrypted payload. Encrypted payload, and we return encrypted payload. Or instead of saying encrypted payload, we can just retain that directly. Retain encrypted payload. Oh, yeah, we retain encrypted payload. And we are going to call our, so this one is static, so we have to make sure we are not using the self static method. So let's remove the self right here. Okay, self sign BLAKE2 payload JSON. It's signed. What we are doing right here, we are converting all this payload as a string, like as a hash string, and save it to the database so it can be easier for us to retrieve it. You might be thinking, oh, it's gonna take long for you to decrypt that. No, it's BLAKE2 is not that, doesn't take much for computation to decrypt, so it's gonna be faster enough, you know, for us to retrieve that back, update that, and bring it back as a JSON object and send it as a payload to make a payment. This seems complicated, but it's good for, again, for extensibility, for modification. In the future, if the API change, we can change the data class, add new property or attributes, or remove attributes, and automatically test and updates wherever we are creating an instance of this data class.